Good afternoon from Snake Mountain Boat Works on Friday, December 23. Yes, this is yet another update on the 1959 17-foot Chris Craft Sportsman. I have now removed the bottom two planks from her transom. We did that based on testing by popping a few bungs here and there. The bottom plank, which has shrunk in width, absolutely had to be replaced. Chris Craft fabricated and built up its transoms with a series of butt joints, not a series of lap joints that we tend to see in early Lymans, in some of the small Lymans, the 16-foot and 13.5-foot leader models. In this case, the construction involves, as we can see right here, the construction involves a butt joint backed by battens. Now, it's interesting, there is absolutely no sealer, waterproofing, caulking, or anything in this joint, but it's above the waterline. When we pan down to the bottom planks, we had a very interesting discovery. Typically, we fight with bottom planks that are full of holes and splits where fasteners have been driven through and into the bottom transom board. And it's almost always the case that we end up with having to fill breaks and do all sorts of dances and standing on our heads and everything else to try to attach really what is a very critical point in terms of waterproofing, attach the aft end or the aft tails of the bottom planks to the transom. Well, in this case, Chris Craft used quite another method. The fasteners are set back and driven into the bottom bow, the bottom frame member, and the bottom planks simply extend and provide a shelf. Chris Craft attempted to waterproof in the classic wooden boat manner by installing a sheet of oil or paraffin or something else impregnated canvas into this space, and the bottom plank sits here. The hope is that we have a water seal that works, provided by this canvas. Well, we're not going to do that, and we're also not going to drive holes through the tails of the bottom planks. What we will do when we reinstall this plank is to bed it in 3M 5200. This entire seam will be bedded in 3M 5200. Why did we take off the next plank? Well, really for two reasons. One, when we began popping a few bungs, particularly in the area beneath and at the boot stripe, particularly in all of these fasteners down here, which are below the waterline, had decayed dramatically. Not only were the heads green, Actually, the shafts had turned green, so we knew we had to release everything here. And then I began removing these bungs and found a similar problem. So it's better in this case to release the board. We can toothpick all of the screw fastener holes. We will also, of course, remove the Chris Craft canvas. We will toothpick all of these so that when we reinstall this board, and this board will be reinstalled, there's no point in replacing a perfectly good board. We will do so without the canvas, but again, this area will be bedded in 5200, and we will use mahogany 5200 to seal the seam between this plank and the next one. The other reason for releasing this plank, in addition to the rather prevalent evidence that water infiltration had occurred through these fastener holes, is that this particular model of Chris Craft seems to have an endemic leaking problem right here, right along the bottom 2 inches of this plank. And the leaks occur in this area, and the first 2 of these 17-foot Sportsman we preserved. We took out for sea trials, and we had an issue with water creeping right through here. So we faced the problem of having to undo and redo a bunch of work and to seal this. It happened on both sides, starboard and port. So now, as a matter of practice, a 17-foot Sportsman's transom, third plank down from the top, is just routinely released. We will bed this entire area, copious amounts of 3M 5200, and again we'll use the mahogany so that we can color any squeeze out. White would be a disaster. So the transom planks are absolutely savable, and if we look at the rest of the framing back here, other than we can see the heads of these carriage bolts, that water had made its way up behind that bottom plank and between that bottom plank and the bottom bow, but nothing's rotted. Everything's solid. Dirty, greasy, yes. Yucky, yes. That will all be clean. So our next step involves emptying out the bilge, as I said yesterday, and removing things like the prop shaft, the shaft log, the rudder, the steering and gear shift rods, the entire steering system, voltage, everything that's bolted on or attached on or goes into the inside of the hull will be removed, and then we wait for a 40-degree day, take her outdoors and pressure wash her, at which point I get to start stripping the varnish on the top sides. So at this point, once again, wishing one and all happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Let's have a great one in 2017. Thank you very much, and goodbye from now from Snake Mountain Boat Works.